Welcome back everyone to Multiversus. Now today we're going over a bit more of an advanced guide for Jake. Jake, in my opinion, is a relatively easy character to use and get the hang of purely because he's not as difficult as some other characters, okay? He's got a lot of safety in my opinion while also being able to put out consistent damage, especially with his side light in the air, which is a charged fist attack that he can change directions. And in my opinion, he's got a pretty solid kit overall. Now, first, I want to talk about combos, and I want you guys to understand that combos are very, very difficult to do in Multiversus, in my opinion, purely because of the fact of how much movement and escape opportunities your opponent has. Also because a lot of attacks don't necessarily combo, at least not very easily or clearly, and they take a lot of skill to actually get the hang of and do. This is very much the same for Jake. I don't really have a lot of combos, at least none that I've worked out yet, to be honest. However, there are two that I've worked out. One which doesn't always work, you have to hit very specifically with it. And the other one, to my knowledge, no enemy has escaped it yet for me. It's very possible that they could though. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first one I would like to talk about is using Jake's stretchy attack. His stretchy and then comboing into his skateboard attack. Now this is very, very hard to do because you have to hit your opponent with a very particular part of Jake while he's stretching. So that way it pulls the opponent up without knocking them away. Or alternatively, you could also move towards them while skateboarding. That's very possible as well. You could do that as well. It is in my opinion, an alright combo. It is not the best though. I'm not even sure if you'd consider it a combo. It is very hard to perform, and honestly, you'll probably only perform that if you get lucky, but if you do, you will rack up quite a bit of damage, especially if you rock Jake's perks that I rock. Now, his second combo that I want to recommend to you guys is a lot easier to hit in my opinion, and so far I haven't had an enemy escape it yet. Now what you're going to do, okay, you have to be quick with the inputs, otherwise your opponent will get a reset. But what you do is you have to side light twice on the ground. So do 2 attacks on the ground with your side light, and then what you're going to do is you're going to jump and you're going to quickly do your side light in the air and angle it downwards. So that way you're punching the opponent into the ground instead of punching them away from you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to combo that into Jake's skateboard attack. It sounds complicated, but I'll show you guys what I mean. Let's see if I can even do it. I've pulled it off a couple times. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can do it, guys. Look, it's going to take a bit of practice. Alternatively, you can skip the step of hitting the fist if you want, the side fist in the air. You could skip it if you want. The reason that this is so effective in my opinion is because if you rock the perks that I rock with Jake, especially collateral damage, okay? Every time you knock your opponent into the ground or a wall, you're getting an extra single tick of damage that you wouldn't get normally, okay? So every time you hit your skateboard attack on an opponent, that's more damage you wouldn't normally get. So that is very, very, very helpful in my opinion. Not to mention, if you do the fist smack and smack them into the ground, it makes it even, it optimizes your damage even more. The reason I like rocking collateral damage, as I said it in my previous Jake guide video, is because of the fact that he has a couple of attacks where he really knocks the opponent around a bit. Now, those are the combos that I've discovered with Jake. Feel free to experiment and discover any on your own. As I said, it's very, very hard in my opinion to combo in Multiversus, just in general. I'm sure some cracked person is going to come along and work out some absolute banger combos that are going to be insanely hard to perform. I haven't discovered any yet. What I want to talk about next is counters for Jake, as in picks that if you verse, you're going to have a hard time if you're playing him. Personally, in my opinion, most of the characters get pretty easily dealt with by Jake, except for one. In my experience, Batman is an extremely hard character to deal with Jake, despite the fact that Batman is apparently not a very high tier character in the meta list yet. Now, the reason for this, at least in my experience, is Batman is very quick and combos a lot of attacks, Jake, if you notice, takes a bit of time to attack with all of his attacks. He's not as quick as Batman is, doesn't have as much mobility as Batman. Batman moves around a lot easier, so it allows him to combo Jake and counter Jake purely because of the fact that he can move around and get do hits without actually getting hit at the same time. It makes life very difficult for Jake's because you'll try to hit him and he'll already just have moved. Batman can also keep you at a distance relatively well by using his Batarang attack. He can use that to set up a lot. The one thing that Jake has going for him against Batman is Batman doesn't have a lot of instant KO moves. He has to combo them. Jake has a couple. For example, his up light in the on the ground. It is very, very good at being a knockout move. His side fist is relatively decent as well, as not to mention, surprisingly, the skateboard attack is extremely good at launching high damage opponents if you hit all 3 hits. The house, his down signature is not as good, in my opinion, as the skateboard for launching opponents. Launching opponents with the skateboard is really easy if you hit all 3 hits. It surprisingly launches them very far if they're high damage. Not to mention you're accruing all the extra damage from rocking collateral damage. Now, a lot of people I see struggle with the Iron Giant. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. In my opinion, the Iron Giant is the most broken character in the game. It is absolutely insane how good the Iron Giant is. I'll see if I can swap him out for you here. Yes, that's all. Wow, I didn't know he had that skin. As you can see, the Iron Giant is massive. He can be... I'll quickly work up his meter for you guys. So just so that way you guys can see the real benefits of playing the Iron Giant and what it has. Now, the one thing, or at least one of the things that Iron Giant mains don't have going for them is typically they're not the greatest at the game, so they just spam moves or they don't really have a lot of mechanical knowledge in terms of working the games. Now, as you guys can see, he's at 181 and he's still not getting launched overly far. He really isn't. So the Iron Giant is extremely, extremely tanky. However, he has the largest hitbox in the game, which makes him extremely easy to abuse with certain moves, especially with Jake. And what I'll show you is this. It's very easy to hit the 3 skateboard attack on the Iron Giant. Because he is so big, it's very easy, it's very hard to actually miss him with it. Unless he dodges. The Iron Giant, however, is the most broken character in the game, so expect to have a difficult fight if you're versing them, no matter how confident you are or who you're playing. Expect to have a tough time versing them. However, they are very, very easy to dodge. A lot of their attacks are quite slow. However, if you do get hit by them, they hit for relatively high damage. Not to mention, they have a lot of attacks that have multiple attacks that you can't dodge out of. I think they're down light, for example. I'm not sure if it's their down light or their down signature in the air, but it's one of them, and you cannot dodge out of it if you get hit by it. You have to take about 5 hits before getting launched. Very, very, very powerful character in the game. However, as I said, the Iron Giant is extremely easy to skateboard with Jake, so if you're running collateral damage, you can abuse the absolute hell out of it. Look, honestly, guys, that's all I really wanted to come on and say. Jake is, in my opinion, he's my favorite character in the game, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. But he's a very, very, very good pick, especially, obviously, with any character. If you know how to use them, they're going to do well. But against the Iron Giant, with collateral damage, Jake really does slap against the Iron Giant. Especially as you can see, he's at 257 damage, and he was still not getting KO'd. Now, as you can see, because his hitbox is so big, it makes it really easy to actually hit, very hard to miss. You rock up damage really quick. Not to mention, you can also hit him with a bunch of other attacks as well in the meantime. So, honestly, while the Iron Giant may be scary with Jake, okay, you don't have a lot to worry about, especially if you've got collateral damage and just abuse Jake's skateboard attack. His skateboard attack is, in my opinion, probably his most powerful attack, purely because of the damage it can put out. And especially if you rock it with collateral damage. I know I go on about collateral damage a lot, but it really, really is, in my opinion, the best perk for Jake, the best offensive perk anyway, just because of the value it brings. Now, honestly, guys, I think that's all I have to say. There's, if obviously as the game gets older and more people join, we'll learn more combos. I'll be sure to update videos and post new videos whenever that happens. When I learn new combos, when I learn new mechanics, new perks come out, new characters come out, 100% I'll upload about them just to keep you guys informed. Now, as a final note, the Iron Giant is scary, but he's not as scary as you think he is. Rock collateral damage and abuse Jake's skateboard attack. Batman. Be wary of Batman. He is the most challenging opponent, at least that I have discovered with Jake. With other characters, he may be easier to deal with. But with Jake, I find him particularly difficult purely because Batman just seems to dart around everywhere. So if you're versing a Batman and you lose and you get the rematch, I would advise swapping character. Or if you're confident that you can beat them, stick with Jake. But beware, at least in my experience, Batman is a weakness for Jake. He is a counter to Jake purely because he's very hard to deal with because Jake doesn't attack as quickly and doesn't have as much mobility. That's all for now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did, please subscribe. I love the support and I appreciate the support. We're aiming for 50 subscribers first of all. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed. And again, I stream pretty much every day or whenever I can over at twitch.tv/WelshGooch or Gouch, however you prefer to pronounce it. And we stream Multiversus, we stream a bunch of other games as well, and it's really just a positive community, and I implore you guys, if you're looking for a positive, fun community to join, find me over at Twitch. Thank you guys for tuning in, I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.